The general election campaign is now in full swing. It's been a week where the party battle buses have been non-stop on Britain's roads, Rishi Sunak has shown off his football abilities, and Labour has been embroiled in controversy too. But we also now have an idea of how the main parties will frame their election campaigns. I'm LBC's political editor Natasha Clark, and this is what you need to know from the first full week of the general election campaign. First up, after a relatively smooth start to campaigning, Keir Starmer and his Labour Party found themselves in hot water over whether veteran politician Diane Abbott will be allowed to run as their candidate in Hackney North and Stoke Newington. Abbott, who was first elected as a Labour MP in 1987, was suspended by the party in April 2023 after having suggested that Jewish, Irish and traveller people had not been subject to racism all their lives. This resulted in an investigation process by the party, but it emerged last week that had been completed by December. After an 8-month investigation, it resulted in a formal warning for Diane, and she was told to complete an anti-Semitism awareness course. However, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer continued to say the process was ongoing in interviews right up until last week, sparking accusations from the Conservatives that they were lying. On Wednesday, confusion hit boiling point after we were told Diane Abbott had got the Labour whip bag, but newspapers reported she would still not be able to run again. Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner and Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar piled the pressure on, saying she should be allowed to run. And then, after days of dithering, at the end of the week, Sir Keir Starmer finally confirmed Diane Abbott would be allowed to stand for Labour. Meanwhile, in the Conservative camp, Rishi Sunak announced plans to instil a shared sense of purpose in Britain by setting out plans to require 18-year-olds across the country to take part in a form of national service. The proposal would see Brits of this age compelled by law to enrol in a paid, year-long military training scheme or undertake an unpaid community programme of 25 days spread over the course of the year. However, confusion over the plans began to arise when Home Secretary James Cleverly told LBC's Lewis Goodall that despite it being compulsory, there would be no criminal punishments for those youngsters who failed to show up for their service.
Yeah.
The non-military bit will be 25 days over a year, which typically we envisage being split up in 2-day chunks. There may be other structures, and again, the Royal Commission.
But if you're 18, you can go and join the police, you can become a prison officer. So you, as a newly minted police officer or prison officer or whatever, prison guard, you're going to have to be giving up, by law, some proportion of your free time to do this, to work for free.
Well, I know lots of police officers, lots of soldiers, lots of people that work in public service also volunteering their time.
Yes,
and again,
volunteer, because volunteer means you want to do it, not that you're forced to do it for free.
But Lewis, the point we're making is a really important element of this is that mixing with people from outside your traditional social circle.
What's that got to do with you? What's that got to do with you, Home Secretary? You're a Conservative government. You're a Conservative. Leave people alone to live their own lives. You talk about the nanny state. That's the ultimate nanny state, telling people with whom they should mix.
Because I deal with the repercussions of social fragmentation. When we have protests on the streets of London where different groups of people
That's about Gaza.
Have fallen out of the habit of talking to each other, fallen out of the habit of respecting differential political point of views. I deal with the implications of that. And where there is an opportunity to remedy that, of course it is right we take that opportunity to.
The Tory policy is understandably not going down too well with the kids. But it is popular among some of the Tories' key older voters, who it is vital they get to come out to vote for them to give them a fighting chance of hanging on to any of their seats. And it's fair to say that everyone has been talking about it.
There's a huge amount of detail hidden in the term national service, as you well know, Nick. The knee-jerk reaction is universal conscription.
Yes.
Spud peeling, boot whatevering.
Yeah.
National service will just aggravate the army. All of a sudden, the army wants a professional fighting force.
Very true. Very true.
It does not want a lot of overweight, and lots of them are spotty-faced teenagers who will have no desire to be there, and they'll just, I don't know what they'll get them doing, sweeping the barracks, I guess. Keir
Starmer, on the other hand, has said that 16 and 17-year-olds could be given the vote if the Labour Party wins the next election.
They can go out and work, they can serve in our armed forces, and of course if they are out and working they pay tax. And therefore they should have a say over how the money they're paying in is being used.
Away from the Conservatives and the Labour Party, Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey has been busy too, putting his party's message out to voters across the country. Although he hasn't been doing this in the traditional sense, but rather has taken up a range of activities such as paddleboarding, cycling down hills, and even a trip to a slip and slide. But Davey has managed to fit in the announcement of some key Liberal Democrat policies, though most notably pledging to force water companies to tackle record levels of raw sewage spills into England's seas and rivers. And the Reform Party too have also been dominating the airwaves this week after Nigel Farage dangled a possible deal with the Conservatives, only to be completely slapped down by the Prime Minister. And they've outlined plans to force companies which hire foreign workers to pay even more tax. They say that this election will be all about immigration. So, it's been an eventful first week on the campaign trail, but with over a month to go until the country goes to the polls, next week promises to give us even more twists and turns.